Well, this is kind of quite interesting because it involves my hometown Barnsley. Um, a couple of days, well, last week, in fact, um, a number of locations in Barnsley were heavily, shall we say, leaflet dropped. Although it wasn't a leaflet that came through their door, it was a publication called the Epoch Times. Now, if you don't know what the Epoch Times are, it is a pro-Trump conspiracy newspaper. And quite frankly, I wish I'd got one through my door because I tell you now, um, we're about to go over the article from the Yorkshire bylines, which covers this. But I wish I'd got one because I tell you now, I would have done a live stream where we just gone over all the articles because it sounds absolutely bat crazy. Well, just absolutely sounds insane. Um, yeah, but here we go. Barnsley targeted by pro-Trump conspiracy newspaper. So Barnsley has been targeted by the Epoch Times with a special edition of its newspaper containing a detailed and far-fetched anti-China conspiracy theories. Residents in Darton Ward were surprised to discover the newspaper posted through their doors last weekend. The Epoch Times is based in America and is known for supporting and promoting far-right politicians, particularly Donald Trump. A BuzzFeed report in 2019 showed that it was the second highest founder of pro-Trump Facebook ads after the Trump official campaign. In February, the New York Times labeled it one of the most mysterious fixtures of the pro-Trump media universe. It is believed the newspaper is linked to the Falun Gong new religious movement, labeled as an evil cult by the Chinese government. The publication is banned in China. It promotes the QAnon website, which media biased fact check claims is a collective of anonymous conspiracy theorists who believe that the deep state and media is conspiring against President Trump. And yeah, QAnon is whoo, oh boy. um, yeah, it's one of those bizarre things that you would never think would leave the internet, but actually has done and has turned up at protests and even got mentioned on by when they've interviewed people. They've actually mentioned by name QAnon, and yeah, it's absolutely insane. But this is another random conspiracy theorist, and no one knows who runs QAnon, by the way. No one knows if this is still the most elaborate troll ever, or whether it's actually someone who believes what they're saying and is just, well, a complete lunatic. Is the best way to put it. So while some of the reporting in the Epoch Times is accurate, by using syndicated stories through Reuters or the Associated Press, when reporting on China, they have a strong anti-communism bias. The special edition of the newspaper includes articles entitled How the Communist Regime Endangered the World, the CPP's Subversion of the WHO Undermines Global Pandemic Response, and Giving the Right Name to the Virus Causing a Worldwide Pandemic. In its editorial, the newspaper maintains that where ties with the communist China are close, the coronavirus follows. This supports the narrative being published by the Trump administration. In March, President Trump was widely condemned for referring to the COVID-19 as the Chinese virus. He later claimed to have evidence that the virus started in a Chinese lab, but was unable to substantiate the claim. On the Andrew Marr show on Sunday, Senator Rick Scott claimed that we've got to get this vaccine done, Unfortunately, we have evidence that Communist China is trying to sabotage us or slow it down. When pushed to justify his assertion, he said that the information had come from the intelligence community, but he was unable or unwilling to provide details to back this up. The Epoch Times special edition newspapers have so far been distributed to various areas and locations in the UK and Ireland, including Peterborough, Dublin, and Edinburgh. It has also been found in towns in Australia and Canada, and it is not clear how these places are being selected. The newspaper states that the special edition, which contains a collection of the Epoch Times articles, is being distributed to select areas as we believe it contains important information for people, as well as allows people to become familiar with our content and subscribe. Barnsley has always been a strong red wall seat in Yorkshire. However, in the general election in December, Jan Jarvis saw his vote reduced by 23%, leaving him with a majority of just 3,000. The Brexit Party came in second place with 34% of the votes, which might suggest why. Once again, yeah, bizarre, but I can understand why they target Barnsley, almost definitely. Unfortunately, there really is a racist undertone in Barnsley, and it's not a very nice one. It's very often it's what I call traditional British racism. People won't outwardly say something racist, but they continue in the tradition of Nigel Farage of, oh, it's one of them, and stuff like that. So it's classic othering. And this has deadly effects. A couple of years ago, there was a girl who was late home, basically getting late home, and she accused her story. She said that she'd been raped by a Polish guy. It turned out not to be true, but the storm that the Polish community got in Barnsley, several shops were targeted and vandalised. There was an attempted arson. There were a couple of Polish people that were attacked for it. So there really is an unfortunate racist undertone in this town, and I can understand why these types of newspapers would be targeting it, because they're trying to exploit people's fears and what's going on, and that's generally what's happening. Unfortunately, this town has fallen massively for the immigrants are stealing our jobs, when if you look at the actual economics of the town, how it works, a lot of people are just being exploited, first of all, by zero-hour contracts. Lots of other people do not have the money or resources or the opportunity to actually get to their places of work, which, again, massive issue in Barnsley and in the surrounding areas. You have like the job centre situation in Barnsley. There's one job centre. There used to be several throughout the area where people could get to. There's now only one, and this obviously has caused massive problems. You then also have the other problem where, again, we've lost a lot of local libraries where people can access computers, because universal credit is now a digital thing where you have to pretty much apply online. The only place you can apply for it is pretty much the job centre, and then you have to go through all the digital hoops and barriers about interacting with that. People don't have the money to afford the internet. This has caused a massive problem, massive issue in Barnsley. That is why the poverty rate, again, you can track it with universal credit. When universal credit rolls in, the poverty rating in the town just goes up, as it did everywhere else. So, hopefully, I don't know how you'd fight back against this thing. I suppose you would have to find out where it's being distributed, like where its drop points are. I mean, if it's like, I don't know, being dropped in like a local area where you can get stuff for free, then my reaction to that would be take every single copy and find the local bin and just bin it. I'm open to ideas if anyone else has got ideas how you can combat stuff like this. But yeah, definitely if we got it through, we'd have an interesting time reading, I'm sure, through some of those articles and just highlighting just how racist some of those statements are. So, we'll see you soon.